If you spent your career teaching, fighting fires, or wearing a badge, and you also paid into Social Security from a second job, a summer gig, or a career before or after public service, there is a real chance the federal government owes you a check. $4,000, $12,000, in some cases over $40,000, and most people who qualify still haven't seen the full amount. In this video, we're going to do three things. With the actual Social Security Administration and Congressional Research Service documents on screen so you can verify every number yourself. 1. What the Social Security Fairness Act actually did in plain English. 2. How to figure out to the dollar what you should have already received. And 3. The catch nobody is talking about. Because if you're a surviving spouse or a divorced spouse, there is a fight happening at the SSA right now over retroactivity that has cost some widows tens of thousands of dollars they were promised. I want to be upfront about something. The first time I covered this on this channel, I told viewers the back payments would land automatically for everyone affected. That turned out to be wrong for one specific group, and I'll explain who in a few minutes. So if you saw my earlier video, this is the corrected version. Let's get into it. Quick context, because the law itself is short and the math is what matters. On January 5, 2025, the Social Security Fairness Act was signed into law. House Resolution 82, Public Law 118-73. What it did was repeal two old provisions that had been in place since the early 1980s. The Windfall Elimination Provision, or WEP, and the Government Pension Offset, GPO. These two rules cut Social Security benefits for people who had worked part of their career in jobs that didn't pay into Social Security, typically state teachers, local police, fire departments, and most federal workers hired before 1984 under the Civil Service retirement system. The law repealed both of them, retroactively. The last month either rule applied was December 2023. Which means anyone affected was supposed to start receiving the full Social Security benefit they earned, plus a lump sum for every month from January 2024 forward they were shorted. According to SSA's own numbers, about 3.2 million people were affected. As of July 2025, the SSA had sent 3.1 million payments totaling $17 billion. Here's where it gets specific to you. The Congressional Budget Office did the math on what the average increase looks like, and the numbers vary a lot depending on which group you fall into. If you're a retired worker hit by WEP, meaning your Social Security check was reduced because you also have a teacher's pension or a CSRS pension, the average monthly increase is around $360. Some people see $200. Some see over $500. The average WEP reduction before repeal was about $350 per month, so most folks are getting roughly that amount restored. Multiply that out. $360 a month, retroactive to January 2024. By the time you got your first new check in March or April 2025, that's 15 months of back pay. Around $5,400 in a single lump sum, plus the higher monthly payment going forward. Take Diane. She's a retired Texas public school teacher. She paid into the Texas Teachers Retirement System for 28 years. She also worked summers and did some private tutoring after retirement, enough to qualify for Social Security on her own record. Before the repeal, WEP was knocking about $480 off her monthly check. After the repeal, that $480 came back. She got a back pay deposit of just over $7,200 in April 2025, and her monthly check went up by the same $480 going forward. Now, if you're a surviving spouse hit by GPO, the numbers are bigger. The CBO estimated the average monthly increase for affected widows and widowers at $1,190. For living spouses, $700. And here's where it gets complicated. Because for some widows, the GPO hadn't just cut the survivor benefit, it had wiped it out completely. This is the part the news isn't covering well, and it's the correction I owed you from earlier. Margaret is the example. Her husband was a retired federal worker, hired in 1979 under CSRS. When he passed in 2018, Margaret went to her local SSA field office and applied for survivor benefits. The clerk ran the numbers. Under the GPO at the time, two-thirds of Margaret's own government pension wiped out the entire survivor benefit. She would have received $0 per month. So the clerk did what most clerks did at that time. Told her not to file. There was no paperwork. She walked out, and the SSA had no record she'd ever applied. Fast forward to January 2025. The Fairness Act passes. GPO is gone. Margaret is now entitled to a full survivor benefit, and the law says the increase goes back to January 2024. Except, and this is what I missed in my first video, the SSA is interpreting the law to mean she only gets 6 months of back pay, not the full retroactive amount to January 2024. Because under existing rules, when you file an application, you can only collect up to 6 months retroactively from the date you applied. For someone like Margaret, the difference is real money. We're talking the gap between, say, 6 months at $1,400 a month, about $8,400, versus 18 or 20 months, over $25,000. Same person, same eligibility, different paperwork timing. In April 2025, 4 U.S. Senators Collins, Cassidy, Cornyn, and Fetterman wrote the Social Security Administration directly, asking them to honor the full January 2024 effective date for these protective filers. The SSA said no. In February 2026, 3 of those senators sent a follow-up letter. As of the date I'm filming this, the SSA has not changed its position. So what do you do, practically? If you were already receiving a Social Security benefit and your check was reduced by WEP or GPO before this, you should have already gotten the new monthly amount and the back pay deposit. Both showed up automatically starting in late February 2025 for most people. If yours hasn't, the very first thing is to log into your My Social Security account at SSA.gov and check 2 things: your mailing address and your direct deposit account. Bad information on file is the single most common reason payments are delayed. If you never applied like Margaret, that's harder. You need to apply now, either online at SSA.gov or by calling 1-800-772-1213 or by walking into a field office. Apply for the spousal or survivor benefit on your spouse's record. You will get 6 months of back pay from your application date, plus the full monthly amount going forward. You will not get the full retroactive amount unless Congress forces SSA to change its policy, which is possible, but not guaranteed. If you're still working and you're a teacher, firefighter, police officer, or federal CSRS employee, your future Social Security estimate at SSA.gov is now showing the unreduced amount. Make sure your retirement plan reflects that. Your Social Security check at full retirement age might be $300 to $500 a month higher than you assumed last year. One last thing, because this matters and almost no one is talking about it. The back payment is taxable. If you got a $20,000 lump sum in 2025, that whole $20,000 hit your 2025 income, and it appeared on your SSA 1099 in January 2026, which means 3 things may have just happened to you. You may now owe federal tax on a portion of your Social Security you didn't owe before. Up to 85% of the benefit can be taxable depending on your other income. If you're on Medicare, that lump sum may have pushed you over an IRMAA threshold for 2027, meaning your Medicare Part B premium goes up 2 years from now because of a one-time 2025 spike. There is a form, the SSA 44, that lets you appeal IRMAA on the basis of a one-time event like this. It is absolutely worth filing if this applies to you. And finally, if you live in one of the 12 states that still taxes Social Security, the back payment may have created a state tax bill too. If you watch this and you think you, or a parent, or a widowed family member is owed money, the action item is the same. Log into SSA.gov, check the account. If something looks off, call, don't wait. Some of the manual cases at SSA are taking up to a year to process, and the people getting paid first are the ones who follow up. I'll put the SSA Fairness Act page, the CBO numbers, and the Senate letters all in the description. If this video saved you or someone you know real money, leave a comment telling me which group you fell into. I read every one. We'll see you next Thursday.